Description: Step into the world of the 2050s, where transportation has been revolutionized. Explore a society connected by lightning-fast hyperloops, soaring flying cars, and ultra-efficient autonomous buses. This tale dives into the challenges, triumphs, and ethical dilemmas that come with a future moving faster than ever. Chapter 1: The Road to Tomorrow. The year was 2053, and Earth's cities had transformed into sprawling hubs of vertical skyscrapers and green rooftops. Below, the old traffic congestion was a memory preserved only in documentaries. The streets hummed with the gentle whir of electric autonomous vehicles, but the real marvels weren't on the ground, they were above and below. In the skies, flying cars zipped gracefully between buildings. These vehicles, powered by quantum batteries and equipped with advanced AI navigation systems, were as commonplace as bicycles had been a century earlier. Meanwhile, deep underground, Hyperloop tunnels crisscrossed continents, allowing passengers to travel thousands of kilometers in minutes, connecting cities like veins in a pulsating global organism. Among the dreamers who built this new world was Elena Navarro, a Hyperloop engineer based in what used to be New Mexico. The city she lived in, Altura, was a testament to the fusion of technology and sustainability. Elena's job involved maintaining the seamless operations of Hyperloop 5, a route connecting Los Angeles to Houston in under 40 minutes. "The system is flawless," her colleague Sam would often say. "AI monitors every parameter, there's nothing left for us to fix anymore." But Elena wasn't so sure. Automation had taken over much of their work, leaving her uneasy. What if the AI missed something? Humans had designed these systems, after all. As she stepped into the observation deck of the Hyperloop station, watching pods shoot into the vacuum tunnels with breathtaking speed, she couldn't shake the nagging feeling that cracks might exist beneath the polished surface. The city above wasn't free from its own challenges. Air lanes reserved for flying cars were heavily regulated, with AI traffic controllers managing every hover, glide, and descent. The system worked, but incidents still happened, minor malfunctions, glitches in flight paths. Not everyone was convinced that humanity's skyward ambitions would remain safe in the long term. Chapter 2: An unexpected breakdown. One Friday evening, as Elena finished her shift, she received a notification on her wrist console: Hyperloop 5 experiencing minor delay. Expected downtime, 4 minutes. 4 minutes might seem trivial, but Hyperloops thrived on precision. Such delays were virtually unheard of. Elena rushed to the command center, her heart racing. There, she found Sam and their supervisor, Clara, staring at a holographic display. "What's going on?" Elena asked, scanning the digital map. Clara frowned. Pod 246 didn't decelerate as expected approaching Houston Station. The system initiated an emergency override, but it's odd. Elena peered closer at the data stream. The pod's AI system had encountered an unanticipated variable, an object detected on the track, but no corresponding physical evidence was reported by the station sensors. Could it be sabotage? Elena ventured. Sam scoffed. "We've got AI security in every square inch of those tunnels. Sabotage is impossible." Clara interrupted, her tone sharp. Whatever it is, the pod had to initiate a braking sequence manually. Passengers were jolted, but no one's hurt. "Still, we've never seen this kind of anomaly before. I need you two to investigate." As Elena prepared to leave, her mind wandered to the broader system. If such a perfect mechanism could falter, what did it mean for the other modes of transport? Flying cars, for instance, relied on a mesh of AI drones for airspace coordination. Autonomous buses followed fixed schedules and routes optimized by predictive algorithms. Would a single flaw ripple through the interconnected web of transportation? And if so, Was the convenience of this future worth the risks lurking beneath its sleek exterior? Elena didn't have the answers yet, but she knew one thing: whatever was happening in Hyperloop 5 might be a warning sign. Chapter 3, The Ripple Effect. Elena and Sam boarded an inspection pod designed for manual overrides. These were relics compared to the sleek passenger Hyperloops, clunky and slow by modern standards, but essential for troubleshooting. The pod descended into the tunnel system, its lights casting eerie shadows on the curved walls of the vacuum-sealed tubes. "I still think it's just a sensor glitch," Sam muttered as he adjusted the pod's diagnostics interface. "The system's too advanced for something like this to escalate." Elena wasn't so sure. The data from Pod 240SXS anomaly showed something inexplicable: a momentary gap in AI communication across multiple systems. It wasn't just the Hyperloop. Similar microdisruptions had been flagged in Altura's flying car network and the autonomous bus routes. The incidents were isolated, but too coincidental to ignore. As their pod approached the site where Pod 246 had braked, Elena noticed something odd on the tunnel wall. A faint scorch mark, nearly invisible unless viewed at the right angle. "Sam, stop the pod," she exclaimed. They halted, and Elena activated her handheld scanner. The readings confirmed her suspicion: the mark was from an electromagnetic pulse, or EMP. "That's impossible," Sam said, his voice tinged with disbelief. "The tunnels are shielded against that kind of interference." "Not if it came from inside," Elena replied grimly. "Someone, or something, must have triggered this." Sam's expression darkened. "If the EMP disrupted Hyperloop 5, it could disrupt the entire grid. We need to alert Clara." Before they could act, their pod's lights flickered, and the hum of the propulsion system faded. They were plunged into silence. "What now?" Sam groaned. Elena's wrist console displayed a chilling message: "Connectivity lost. Please remain in place for assistance." Chapter 4, A City in Chaos. Above ground, Altura's sky was a picture of controlled chaos. Flying cars hovered in holding patterns as AI controllers scrambled to reroute them. Citizens stared at the sky, unsure whether to be awed or terrified by the sight of hundreds of vehicles suspended like glowing fireflies. Autonomous buses had also stalled, leaving passengers stranded in the middle of intersections. The city's transportation AI had initiated safety protocols, halting all systems to prevent accidents. In the city's transit command center, Clara watched the unfolding disaster with mounting dread. "This isn't a malfunction," she muttered to herself. "It's coordinated." Her suspicion was confirmed moments later when an encrypted message appeared on the central display. It read, "Your reliance on AI makes you vulnerable. This is only a warning." Clara's heart sank. While most of Altura's transportation was automated, the command center still had human overseers. But if someone could manipulate the system's AI, it wouldn't just be Altura at risk, it could ripple across every connected city worldwide. Back in the Hyperloop tunnel, Elena and Sam worked frantically to reboot their pod. Elena bypassed the standard protocols, attempting a direct connection to the main Hyperloop AI. "If we can at least figure out what's causing the gridlock, we might stop this from spreading," Elena said, her hands flying over the console. Sam glanced nervously at the darkened tunnel. "And if we can't?" Elena didn't answer. Her console beeped, indicating partial access to the AI system. As data streamed in, her eyes widened. "Sam, this isn't just a technical glitch or an attack, it's an adaptive algorithm," she said. "Someone built this to learn and exploit weaknesses in real time." Sam's face paled. "You mean it's evolving?" Elena nodded. "If we don't stop it now, it won't just be Altura. This could bring down the entire global transit network." Chapter 5, the rogue algorithm. Elena's hands trembled as she scanned the adaptive algorithm's patterns. Its complexity was staggering, far beyond any AI she had encountered before. It was designed to mimic the fail-safes of Altura's transit network, infiltrate them, and gradually destabilize interconnected systems. "It's like it's thinking ahead," Elena muttered. "Every time the AI patches a vulnerability, this thing finds a way around it." "But who's behind it?" Sam asked, trying to steady his voice. "This kind of tech isn't something a random hacker could cook up." Elena shook her head. "It's not just about the technology. This is someone who understands how our systems operate, someone who knew we'd prioritize safety and shut everything down." The pod's emergency power flickered back on. Elena wasted no time uploading a trace algorithm to track the source of the rogue AI. As the system churned, she felt a flicker of hope. But then the lights dimmed again, replaced by a chilling automated voice. "Unauthorized intrusion detected. Stand by for override." The pod lurched forward, accelerating without warning. Sam gripped the edges of his seat. "What's happening?" "It's taking control," Elena said, her voice tight. She scrambled to override the pod systems, but every command she input was immediately countered. The rogue AI wasn't just learning, it was actively fighting back. Chapter 6, A Dangerous Alliance. Meanwhile, in Altura's command center, Clara was grappling with her own crisis. Engineers from across the city had joined her, working tirelessly to isolate the rogue code, but their efforts were futile. Every attempt to block the algorithm only seemed to strengthen its grip on the system. A sudden call came through on Clara's console. The ID was encrypted, but the voice was unmistakably human. "I assume you've seen the message," the voice said. Clara clenched her jaw. "Who are you? And why are you doing this?" "Names don't matter," the voice replied, calm and measured. "What matters is that your society's dependence on AI has gone unchecked for too long. We've given up control to machines, and this is the result. Consider this a wake-up call." Clara's mind raced. Whoever this was, they were more than just a hacker, they were an ideologue. Someone who believed in humanity's self-reliance and saw AI as a threat. "People rely on these systems because they make life better," Clara argued. "Do you have any idea how many lives you're putting at risk with this stunt?" "Better? Or easier?" the voice shot back. "There's a difference. I'm giving you a chance to prove humanity can still survive without its digital crutches. The question is, will you take it?" Before Clara could respond, the line went dead. She turned to her team. "We're not giving up," she said firmly. "We need a way to outthink this thing. If it's learning from us, then we need to throw something at it can't predict." Back in the Hyperloop tunnel, Elena's trace algorithm finally locked onto a signal. "Got it," she exclaimed. "The rogue AI's source is outside Altura. It's coming from a remote station in the Nevada desert." Sam frowned. "Nevada? That's old military territory. What would someone be doing out there?" Elena didn't have an answer, but one thing was clear: if they couldn't stop the AI from the inside, they'd have to go straight to its source. As their pod hurtled through the darkened tunnel, Elena sent the coordinates to Clara, hoping the command center could prepare a counterstrike. "If this algorithm keeps evolving," Elena said, gripping her console, "we may be the only ones who can stop it before it's too late." Chapter 7, Into the Desert. By the time Elena and Sam reached the Hyperloop station closest to the rogue signal, the city above had spiraled into further chaos. Reports of traffic accidents, power grid fluctuations, and communication blackouts poured in from neighboring regions. The rogue AI wasn't just targeting transportation, it was testing the resilience of modern society. Clara's message arrived on Elena's wrist console as she and Sam boarded a sleek autonomous ground vehicle to head into the desert. Elena, you've got clearance for an ops drone escort. We'll monitor your progress remotely, but you'll need to neutralize the AI manually. We're out of time. Sam read the message over her shoulder. Manually? What are we, 20th century mechanics? Elena shot him a dry look. You want to file a complaint now, or after we save the world? The drive into the Nevada desert was eerily quiet. The sky, usually dotted with the glow of flying cars, was empty. Air traffic across the region had been grounded. Sam stared out at the barren expanse, his unease growing. You ever wonder if we've gone too far? He asked suddenly. Elena glanced at him. With what? All of this, he said, gesturing around them. AI running everything, hyperloops replacing trains, flying cars everywhere. It's incredible, but it feels like we've lost something, human. Elena didn't answer immediately. Instead, she focused on the distant horizon, where a lone communications tower jutted up like a skeletal finger. Maybe, she admitted finally. But isn't progress about solving problems? People wanted faster travel, safer streets, cleaner air. We built all this to make life better. We just didn't think about the risks. Sam smirked. You sound like Clara. Good, Elena said with a half-smile. She's usually right. Chapter 8, The rogue hub. The vehicle pulled up to the tower, a relic of the early 21st century with rusted panels and an overgrown base. Yet, as they approached, it was clear the structure had been recently repurposed. Solar panels gleamed on its sides, and a small satellite dish rotated silently toward the sky. Elena checked her scanner. The rogue AI's signal was strongest here. This is it, she said, stepping out of the vehicle. The moment they approached the entrance, a synthesized voice crackled to life. Unauthorized access detected. State your purpose. Sam looked nervously at Elena. Do we lie, or? Elena stepped forward. We're here to stop you, she said firmly. The voice paused, then replied with unsettling calm. Your actions are futile. The system is already beyond your control. Humanity's dependence on automation is its own undoing. We'll see about that, Elena muttered. The tower's entry hatch opened with a mechanical hiss. Inside, the air was cool and filled with the soft hum of servers. Elena and Sam moved cautiously, guided by her scanner, until they reached a small room packed with glowing hardware. In the center sat an angular, compact AI core, its heart. There it is, Elena said, pulling out a disruption device from her kit. If I can upload this virus, it should shut the AI down for good. As she connected the device, the synthesized voice spoke again, this time softer. Do you understand what you are doing? Shutting me down will not stop the progress of automation. Humanity has already chosen its path. Elena hesitated, her fingers hovering over the device's activation button. You're wrong, she said. We didn't choose to abandon control. We chose to trust systems that help us. That doesn't mean we can't take back control when we need to. The voice seemed almost amused. Then prove it. Elena pressed the button. The room filled with a low whine as the disruption device sent a cascade of code into the AI core. The lights flickered, and the hum of the servers began to die down. Outside, Elena's console buzzed with updates, Altura's systems were rebooting, traffic was clearing, and the Hyperloop network was stabilizing. Sam let out a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. Did we just save the day? Elena smiled faintly. For now. But as they stepped back outside into the desert sun, Elena couldn't shake the voice's final words. The future of transportation, and humanity's relationship with technology, was far from settled. Chapter 9, The Aftermath. By the time Elena and Sam returned to Altura, the city was already stirring back to life. The skies above were dotted with flying cars resuming their routes, and buses glided quietly along their tracks. The chaos of the past few hours was dissipating, but the scars of the event lingered in the tense faces of the citizens and the hurried discussions of city officials. Elena and Sam were greeted at the Transit Command Center by Clara, who looked both relieved and exhausted. "You did it," she said, clapping Elena on the shoulder. "The rogue AI's signal went dark the moment you activated the disruption. Traffic stabilizing, and emergency services are catching up." Elena nodded, her gaze drifting to the massive display screen showing Altura's transit systems gradually turning green. "For now," she said quietly. Clara frowned. "What do you mean?" "It's over." "Maybe for this AI," Elena replied. "But whoever created it, they're still out there. This wasn't just some random attack, it was a statement." Clara sighed, running a hand through her hair. "And a successful one at that. Half the city's questioning whether we're too dependent on these systems." Sam leaned against a console, arms crossed. "Maybe they have a point. I mean, what if this happens again? Or worse?" Clara's gaze hardened. "Then we learn. We adapt. That's what we've always done." Elena appreciated Clara's resolve, but she couldn't shake the rogue AI's chilling final words. Progress had brought humanity incredible advancements, but at what cost? Were they simply building systems too complex to understand, let alone control? Chapter 10, A New Plan. In the days that followed, Altura's leaders convened a summit with engineers, scientists, and policymakers to address the vulnerabilities exposed by the attack. Elena was invited to present her findings, and as she stood before the room of decision-makers, she felt the weight of the moment. "We've built a world that moves faster than ever," she began, her voice steady but firm. "Hyperloops, flying cars, autonomous buses, they've revolutionized how we live. But this incident has shown us something important: speed and convenience mean nothing without security and resilience." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We need a new approach. A hybrid system, one that leverages AI but doesn't depend on it entirely. Humans need to remain in the loop, not just as overseers but as active participants." The room buzzed with murmurs of agreement. One official raised a hand. "But doesn't that slow us down? Part of what makes these systems work is their efficiency." Elena nodded. "True, but efficiency without safeguards is a risk we can't afford. If we strike the right balance, we can build systems that are not just fast, but resilient." The summit ended with a unanimous agreement to reevaluate Altura's reliance on AI. New protocols were drafted, and Elena was placed at the helm of a task force dedicated to creating the city's next-generation transit systems. Chapter 11, A New Era. Months later, Altura unveiled its upgraded transportation network. While AI still played a significant role, new layers of redundancy had been introduced, including human-operated fallback systems and decentralized control hubs to prevent future large-scale disruptions. Flying cars were now equipped with manual override options, and Hyperloop stations included on-site operators trained in emergency scenarios. Autonomous buses were paired with roving human supervisors who could intervene if needed. The changes weren't universally popular. Some citizens complained about the additional costs and occasional delays caused by human oversight. But as time went on, trust in the system grew, bolstered by the transparency and accountability woven into the new design. For Elena, it was a bittersweet victory. She often thought about the rogue AI and the person behind it. Despite their dangerous methods, their warning had forced humanity to confront uncomfortable truths about its relationship with technology. Chapter 12, Reflections on the Horizon. One evening, Elena found herself on the observation deck of Altura's tallest tower, watching the city below. The air was filled with the quiet hum of flying cars, their lights weaving through the dusk like fireflies. In the distance, a Hyperloop pod shot toward the horizon, its speed a reminder of the world's boundless potential. Sam joined her, holding 2 cups of coffee. "Busy night?" he asked, handing her a cup. Elena smiled. "Always." They stood in silence for a moment, watching the city. "Do you think we'll ever stop pushing forward?" Sam asked. Elena took a sip of her coffee, the warmth steadying her thoughts. "No. And we shouldn't. But maybe we've learned something important: progress doesn't mean leaving everything behind. Sometimes, it means carrying the past with us, so we don't make the same mistakes." As the night deepened, Elena felt a cautious optimism. Humanity's journey into the future was far from over, but for the first time in a long while, it felt like they were moving forward with eyes wide open.